COVID, of course, caused a different disruption. There was a whole writer strike, actor strike. So content only went down. So that became a very tough time for these streaming platforms. But post COVID, everyone was like, "Hum apna banayenge." And that is where user frustration came to the fore, saying, "Hey, you know what? We can't sit and subscribe to 10 different streaming platforms to watch our content."
Yeah.
And then some smart Alec came and said, "You know what? I will give you all these 10 streaming platforms in my service." Which is what made these content producers realize that we are losing the game again if someone's just going to bundle all our services and give it. So they started creating partnerships for themselves, saying that if we create partnerships in house, the margins that we get to keep when the users subscribe to our services is higher. Now, these telecom providers, when they're providing 5 or 10 different streaming subscription services, they are keeping the money from the user, right? So, this is what a lot of people try to do when every streaming platform came up with their own service. And hence, coming back to your point, Tanay, this is why bundling, even though it might give you a lower average revenue per user, will give you a higher lifetime value per user. And yes,
Keep-
comes back to your frustration that this is very dangerously close to going back to TV because at
Yeah,
the end of
because
the
you're
day,
talking about,
it's
we're
ads.
talking about, we're paying separate subscriptions for channels or OTT platforms, whatever. We are purchasing hardware where before it used to be like a set top box or something like that. Now we are purchasing some sort of, it's getting coming into the TV, big woohoo. And basically, but still hardware we're purchasing to then get access to a bunch of this kind of stuff. We have talked about in the last hour about how apart from paying subscriptions, I still have to watch ads, right? And I am also flipping through back to, instead of flipping through channels, I'm go back to flipping through multiple OTT platforms to find the content I want to watch.
And let me
The
add to your
only
frustration. Nowadays, a few shows that are releasing have decided that we will release once a week. We will not release the
exactly, so
entire
it's
season
not
in
on
one go.
demand. It's not on demand either anymore.
It's on
So
demand in retrospective. Once all the 10 episodes are released, it's on
then
demand.
you can, it's on demand, exactly.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's still on demand, right? Like, it's not like you have to
fine.
wait till
I don't
8:30
have to
in the
wait till.
evening. If it's come out at 12 a.m., it is available after that for whenever you want to watch.
But that's the problem. No, for example, I am not unlike something like the craze of Game of Thrones, which was there, where people like in India, especially, it used to release on Sunday night. In the US, it used to be Monday morning here. We used to,
Hmm.
like, for example, skip some, like, for example, we would be willing to skip. We were in college that time. We would be willing to skip the first lecture so we could watch the new episode on Monday morning, right?
ये
But
कौन
no
कर रहा था?
other.
मैं तो नहीं कर रहा
You
था.
were a different case. You were not. You were not the norm. Please, we were the norm. You were basically extremely. You used to go to the first class to sleep, so that was a different
Fair,
thing.
fair.
Okay,
Okay,
so
guys.
That
Okay,
yeah.
I will
I used
play
to go to every
Peacemaker
class to
over
sleep.
here and get everyone back to the
Yeah,
And
podcast.
the point is
yeah.
that basically what I'm trying, and I think I'm going to go to my, this frustration is going to lead to my next question also. But yeah, essentially we are back to doing the same thing where if we are releasing an episode once a week, yeah, we're not going. It releases sometime in the day in India, right? And
Right.
then we end up watching it at night after work. So still, it's not on demand. Also, like, it's like, for example, eventually we're waiting for the whole day to watch the content, right? So I think that was essentially why I do want to talk. Like, this was per point that this is, we are back to that same frustration. So let's talk about satellite TV. Okay, we've talked about OTT in general. What is the state of satellite TV today? Is it dead? We said OTT is going to come in. OTT said they're going to come in. They're going to disrupt. They're going to kill out satellite TV. What's we spoken about satellite TV now adapting and also giving OTT platforms as part of their subscription. But what do the numbers look like? Are people still consuming satellite TV?
Yeah, yeah, very much so. And by the way, the definition of on demand means you have the ability to pause.
See, that's the
And
hill he's going to die on.
anyway, no, but the point is, look, the amount of disruption that OTTs have created is, you can't deny that. But the fact is that there are also a lot of, there's a big portion of our species that is very, let's say, resistant to change, right? It takes time for people to adapt sometimes, right? And that's really what is happening even in this industry, right? So we've got my parents' generation, our parents' generation, uh, and maybe a generation above, right, that still relies on cable TV for content consumption. Um, they It's not that they don't subscribe, right? But Netflix doesn't give you news. Prime Video doesn't really give you news, and
Yeah.
in my household's case, my dad can't survive without having at least watched some news through the day. And so, I mean, my dad still gets the newspaper, so that. Uh, so the point being that, right, like, while obviously consumption through cable has declined, cable TV still actually has a substantial presence within the Indian, and for that matter, foreign markets as well.
Mm.
I think the estimate is about 40 to 45% of the Indian households still consume content through cable TV. Right. Obviously, there's an overlap. This is not exclusively cable or
Yeah.
exclusively so, right? And it's a little lower in the US. I think it's about 30 to 35% in the US, right? But that
But still
still
significant
still
chunks,
a
yes.
significant
Yeah.
significant number.